doesn't like spoilers mostly, so it doesn't look at the script before you go to see the movie.
Exactly, that's true, yeah, and people wouldn't seek that out. But I think a lot of fans are on the internet and discuss it. But even, would you go onto an internet forum for something that you haven't seen?
I used to.
You used to?
Yes.
And you don't do that anymore?
I realized I didn't like it.
Yeah. Can you translate that?
The one thing I didn't know about a certain movie.
The only thing I didn't know about a certain movie, because I read all about it except for one particular. That one particular was the most important thing. Yes, the highest emotion was that particular point I didn't know. Then I stopped reading about movies I hadn't seen before.
I think going on the internet before you see something is like reading the last page of a book. Yeah, if you're a star, it's like reading the last page of the book. Why would you do it? So, yeah.
Altre domande? Well, I think I can understand because I've personally seen significant spoilers, and when I saw it, the emotion was still there. So I think it's more of an emotional response. If you really care about something, you might be, but not necessarily. For instance, there's this English series. I read the end, and it's a very, very emotional thing. I wasn't disturbed in the slightest because reading it was different.
People forget that when you watch cinema, movies, or television, you're not just responding with your head, you're responding with your heart. And the important thing to realize is that even though you know, most tragedies, most classic tragedies begin with, this is the story of how John Smith dies. So you know that he's going to die, and you are even more horror, appalled, scared for him because he's going to die. You know that. You know that all the good things that happen to him are only going to lead to the tragic end, right? So knowing with your head, that's why spoilers are, you can still get by without a spoiler. Another thing too that's interesting is the words of a movie, I think, are the information that you use with your head. But the music is the feelings. The music is how you feel about it. So spoilers are a part of it. So I think the whole idea of that extreme security in the film industry, I understand it, but I don't agree with it. It's necessary, but it's unpleasant.
Unnecessary at that level.
Yeah, exactly. Unnecessary at that early stage of the process. Yes?
Io volevo chiedergli se preferisce recitare in teatro una grande commedia tragica o cose del genere oppure un'altra serie televisiva. Infatti.
Sì. Depends on the pay.
Bravo!
I love theater. But like a woman, it costs a lot of money, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time. So you have your heart has to be in it. And when you're trying to make a living in this business, television is important. It's necessary. It's our entertainment of choice. We are everywhere you go now. There's television. It's in bars, in hospitals,
But as an actor,
in
what
airports.
do you prefer as an actor?
As an actor, what do I prefer? I prefer good scenes. Where they work doesn't really matter to me. The content almost is irrelevant. As long as you have a good scene to work in, if it's in a movie, if it's in a theater, if it's in a film. I like the challenge, the technical challenge of filmmaking. I think there's a great deal of skill involved, which has nothing to do with the stage, in technical acting, in being able to do it, and being able to do it consistently, and being able to repeat it after lunch. You work and then you have lunch, and then you have to continue doing the same thing. There's a technical aspect to filmmaking, and also, especially with Stargate too, with science fiction. You're often dealing with things that are like a big green wall. one of the episodes we had is was I being rescued or was I rescuing? I forget. Underwater, and the director just said, and there's a huge whale. There's a huge whale over your head. So you go, oh. You don't know what it looks like. And then, of course, when you watch it, you see, wow, look at the whale, and we're going, whoa. So that's classic sort of acting. Or else when David was doing his doppelganger, those are called plate shots or camera walk-offs. The camera films him, and beside him is a C-stand, similar to a tripod, right? It's a C-stand. On top of it is a tennis ball.
Oh.
So that's for eyeline.
For eyeliner.
For eyeline. There's a thing in animation which is important. I don't know if you're going to translate this. Interocular convergence. And that means that if I'm talking to Jessica Rabbit and she is here, my eyes are looking at her right here, not at that lamp over there. Because you can always tell if someone's looking over there and they're right here, that you're looking a little bit past, a little bit through. So you have to have the right depth of field measured in that. And you can't have a tennis ball in there. So what they do is they'll film his half of it, and if the camera moves, and the computer copies the movement of the camera, how long it stops. And then the actor goes off. David, in this case, puts on a leather jacket, does his hair, and now he's evil David. And he stands instead, and the tennis ball is over here. And the camera does exactly the same movement, and he replies to those things. And that's how you do two people talking to each other in those things. So these kind of technical tricks, I love them. I love watching how that works. I would always hang around on the set and see how they did that, how things like this were done, because it was kind of cool. Like the Stargate, for example, on set. Oh, by the way, the Stargate on set, if you stand through like this, nothing happens.
No.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said anything.
No.
Nothing.
But you did try.
But I did try, of course. It wasn't plugged in.
It's the wrong address.
It takes a long time for Windows 95 to boot up. By the way, the universe runs on Flash animation. All of that you see is Flash. It's all Flash animation. It was funny. We have one central server. There's a lot of computer guys here. They'll appreciate this. They have one central closet, a very small little area where they have all the computers. And back in 2004, when we started, they told us, Atlantis, there's going to be no paper. Paperless Atlantis. And you're going to have a computer, which is a tablet, and you have to touch it. And that's how it works. That's interesting. That's how it's going to work. So I like to think that I invented the iPad. So I invented the iPad. And so the guys in the computer room would run all of the animation that was on all the screens that was behind us, and all of the ones that we were hanging on to. Now, Microsoft has a certain voice command called Microsoft Sam, I think it is, that talks. So in between takes, the computer guys would type something, and your computer starts saying, "You are a bad actor. You do not know your lines."